BYD wants to put lidar and full urban autopilot into a car that costs less than a used Honda Civic. Here's the number that stopped me cold when I read the Goldman Sachs research note ahead of BYD's May 28th smart driving event: 150,000 yen. That's roughly $21,000 US. That is the price point BYD is now targeting for full urban navigate on autopilot, city NOA with lidar, and NVIDIA Orin chips. And if you think that sounds aggressive, BYD is also reportedly exploring a smart drive option for the Seagull, a car that starts at around 90,000 yen, barely $12,500. I'd argue no other automaker on the planet, not Tesla, not Volkswagen, not anyone, is even having this conversation. When Tesla launched full self-driving, they charged $15,000 as an add-on to a car that already cost $40,000 minimum. BYD is talking about baking comparable hardware into the base architecture of a budget hatchback. Now, I want to be honest, the Goldman note is a preview, not a confirmed spec sheet. BYD hasn't officially announced exactly which models get what hardware at what price. But the direction is unmistakable, and the May 28th event is where the details land. Let's talk about what lidar plus Orin actually means in practice, because I think this gets lost in the hype. NVIDIA's Orin system on chip is the same compute platform that Xpeng uses in the X9, that NEO uses in the ET7, cars that cost 2 to 3 times what a Seagull costs. Orin gives you roughly 254 TOPS of AI compute. Pair that with a lidar unit, and you have a sensor suite that can genuinely map a chaotic intersection in real time, handle cyclists cutting across lanes, and navigate roundabouts without the driver touching the wheel. That is not a gimmick. I've spent time in Xpeng City, NOA around Guangzhou, and it is legitimately impressive on crowded urban roads. The question I keep asking myself is, can BYD's in-house software stack, which is far less mature than Xpeng's or Huawei's, actually unlock that hardware's potential at launch? Because hardware is only half the equation. BYD has the supply chain leverage to cost-engineer lidar and Orin down to prices nobody else can match. They're vertically integrated in a way that makes even Tesla look dependent on outside suppliers. I think the hardware democratization is real. The software readiness is where I'm genuinely uncertain, and I'll be watching the live demo on May 28th very closely for that reason. I want to zoom out for a second, because the competitive implications here are enormous and I don't think they're getting enough attention in Western coverage. Right now, urban NOA is a differentiator. It's the reason people pay a premium for an Xpeng G6 over a BYD Atto 3, or choose a Huawei-powered AITO over a comparable NEO. Smart driving is the luxury feature of the Chinese EV market in 2025. If BYD successfully commoditizes it, and I mean really delivers it working, not just as a checkbox, that premium collapses overnight. Xpeng and NEO don't compete on price. They compete on software experience. That moat gets a lot narrower if a 90,000 yen Seagull can do 80% of what a 300,000 yen NEO ET9 does on the highway and in the city. I'll admit I underestimated BYD's smart driving ambitions 12 months ago. I said on this channel that BYD would stay focused on volume and leave the ADAS race to the tech-first brands. I was wrong. The self-developed chip program, the intelligent chassis work, the scale of the May 28th event, this is a company that decided to compete everywhere at once. And frankly, given their cost structure, I'd argue they have a better shot at winning the mass-market ADAS race than any Western automaker does. So where does this leave us? I think BYD's May 28th event is the most consequential smart driving announcement in China this year. Not because BYD is the best at autonomous driving software today, but because they have the scale to make the hardware irreversibly cheap. Once lidar and Orin class compute hit the 150,000 yen price floor, they never go back up. Every competitor has to respond. And that is ultimately good for Chinese consumers and genuinely threatening to Western automakers who are still trying to figure out how to charge for ADAS as a subscription. My prediction: BYD announces City NOA available on at least 2 models under 200,000 yen at launch, with the Seagull Smart Drive option confirmed, but delayed to late 2025 or early 2026 while the software catches up. I think the hardware announcement will be clean. The software demo will be carefully choreographed, and the stock price will move. Goldman already has a buy rating and a raised price target going into this. Whether the real-world experience matches the stage demo, that's the story we'll be telling 6 months from now. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does BYD City NOA actually work on a 90,000 yen car by the end of 2025, or is this a paper launch? I genuinely want to know what you think. If BYD pulls this off, it rewrites the rules for every EV brand on Earth. Subscribe so you don't miss the post-event breakdown, and tell me in the comments. Do you think mass-market lidar ADAS is real by 2026, or is BYD overpromising?